Hello everybody, welcome to That's Football. What an absolute farce continues around the travesty of the weekend. Liverpool being robbed, the VAR injustice, and 3 days later, this happened on Saturday night, it's Tuesday now, no release of the audio by the Referees Association. It's an absolute stain on the game. It's a travesty. Remember, I used the words dictatorship many times in relation to the referees and VAR. They are absolutely, we know it anyway, but they are absolutely playing out that evidence for us by the minute in not releasing it. It's a joke. Lots to get into. Amongst all that as well, Liverpool have appealed the red card for Curtis Jones, which I absolutely applaud and agree with. We'll talk about why they're right to do that in the moment. But a couple of shout outs before we get into this. Release the bloody tape. Release the audio. That's what we're going to be talking about and a few other bits as well. But a couple of shout outs. First of all, podcast out today. Goldbridge Saves Football. Links in the video description. It's in the comments as well. It's a really good episode today, talking about a few other things, but also about the VAR in depth, all the hypocrites, pundits, etc. Give it a listen. You'll really enjoy it. Links in the live chat and support the podcast. And second shout out as well for Mikel Arteta and other people who've come out and supported Liverpool and this. I'm reticent to say support Liverpool because I'm a Man United fan and Arsenal wouldn't support them either. But it's what Liverpool have done. It's that statement. It's that insistence that an apology isn't good enough. And a lot of people coming out and supporting it, which is great because ultimately... another lesson in dictatorship media is that wait for it to go away. That's what they'll do. They'll wait for it to die down because naturally, it's like grief, isn't it? You know, if your cat dies, you're really upset if you liked your cat. 2 weeks later, you're less upset. It's just how the human mind works. So they're trying to elongate this and hope that something else big will happen and move fans away from it. But it's a farce. It's an absolute farce that the audio has not been released. Now, Liverpool's statement was on Sunday. The apology came out on Saturday night. We're now into Tuesday. They haven't released the audio yet. I think this tells you it tells you quite a few things. One, it's a dictatorship. I've seen articles of, Howard Webb is deciding whether to do it. He will do it. They've just got to go through their own investigations first. I mean, come on. Some of us have watched bloody Inspector Morse. We know about investigations. Some of us have worked in that industry. The bottom line is, the audio should have been out on Sunday morning. You've suspended the people involved. They're not involved in Premier League games this weekend. You've thrown them under the bus. They've clearly made a mistake, and that's the line they're going to go down. They want to throw them down under the bus like they did the Arsenal guy. And actually, I don't agree with the people who made the mistake being thrown under the bus, because for me, the Liverpool incidents were the tip of the iceberg, and there's a whole big iceberg below that tip. I don't sit there with any satisfaction that those referees or whoever they are have been suspended. That doesn't stop it. It happened to Arsenal. We've seen numerous decisions, and that to me isn't a solution. Release the tape. Let's hear what a bunch of prats you actually are, and how little you know about football. In fact, can we have a release of the tape in relation to the handball that you gave against Wolves last week? Can we have a release of the tape as to why Man United and Palace didn't get handballs at the weekend? Why didn't Brentford get a penalty at the weekend? I absolutely demand and do not understand in the people's game why we cannot get... In rugby, the audio is there live. 3 days later, Howard Webb won't release the audio of one of the biggest injustices in Premier League football this season. What are they trying to do? They're trying to use AI to mute things out. It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting that they haven't put it out. I don't know who they think they are. That's the problem. It's this dictatorship attitude from the Premier League, from the media, and from the PGMOL that they think they're better than everybody else and we can wait for justice. Well, you know what? I've had a few conversations in the last couple of days. People have messaged me and people have said sort of stuff, some in the media. And there's a general, I don't know whether it's true or not, but what one person said to me, they're not finding it helpful, all the people who are, saying bad things about it. Oh, I'm sorry for that. You mess up and we're not being helpful by keeping it, on top. And the second thing as well is, I said this on a tweet the other day. The one club you really don't want to piss off is Liverpool. We all know that. We all know Liverpool will not take that lying down. And, that's a credit to Liverpool in a sense. They obviously get criticised for that. Some people wrongly and say things about they've got a victim mentality. Well, whether they have or they haven't, they are now the leaders in relation to this issue. And, you know, my stance on it is, I'd love to see Liverpool get relegated, but on this, I want to see them take it as far as they can. I really hope they don't get the audio. I mean, what I'm expecting from the audio, by the way, is that the audio will get released and it will just say what I think we all expect. It will be, it'd be interesting in the sense of, was anything said about we've made a mistake, or did they just say nothing? But ultimately, it's not going to be some big conspiracy where somebody says, yeah, we hate Liverpool, don't give them a goal, we want Spurs to win. That's not going to happen. It's just going to be some level of incompetence that we get the evidence of, and which is why it should be released. I mean, you know, as I'm doing this video, I'm like, release the bloody audio. Who do you think you are? It really, really frustrates, and it must frustrate every football fan, how we get treated like mushrooms, kept in the dark and fed on shit. This is our game. Football is nothing without the fans. It literally isn't. No brand sponsors the Premier League. No Sky don't sponsor the Premier League if you're not buying the subscriptions. Football fans feed football, and we get treated like, you know, peasants. We get treated like scum, and this is the problem. Why can football not be more of a democracy? Why can it not be more of like, as I said, rugby? Why can we not have live feeds? You know, I do live watch-alongs, I do live shows, I know what I can and can't say. You know, are they not intelligent enough or confident enough to actually referee a game with live audio? This is the best league in the world. And I tell you what I would expect as well, and I'm very, very glad that Liverpool have done it. The red card on Curtis Jones, they've appealed it. Now, obviously, I think a lot of people will say, I'll be stunned if that doesn't get reduced down to a yellow card. Because, obviously, I think Liverpool, it's not for me to say what Liverpool should do, but I hope Liverpool just stay firmly on what their statement said. And, like, apologies not good enough, little gifts aren't good enough. We want a proper change in the game, which is what Arteta was saying as well. But I suspect the Premier League, the FA, the Referees Association, will rescind that red card down to a yellow card as a little softener, a little sweetener. You know, we'll let that Curtis Jones red card go if you just accept the apology after we've given the audio, and maybe Liverpool will do that. There'll be a positive that if that happens though, because if the Curtis Jones red card gets knocked down to a yellow card, then that means Casemiro's last year, Gusto's last week, they're not red cards anymore. And hallelujah to that, because they are not red cards. And Curtis Jones was not a red card, so it should get rescinded. I've seen people say things like, he's endangered the opposition player there, so it's a red card. I'm like, you've never played the game in your life, have you? You've never played the game in your life. If I go up for, if I go up for a header, and my elbow accidentally catches someone on the chin and breaks their cheekbone, I haven't endangered his life. I haven't endangered the player. I've broken his cheekbone. I didn't mean to do it. And this is what people do not understand about football. You can get hurt playing football. The ball can hit you in the nuts. The ball can hit you in the face. You know, you can run into the back of somebody's foot and, you know, cut your face. All sorts of things can happen on a football pitch because there's 22 people out there being competitive. That is not a red card, and it is not endangering an opposition player because there was no intent. Curtis Jones controls the ball, and it's absolutely one of those situations that I've seen before, same with Casemiro last year, is that if you don't try and tackle them, you're going to get booed by your own fans as a coward. It's a 50-50 and you're in control of the ball. He's got to go for that tackle. He doesn't go in studs up. He goes in top of the foot up, and physics turns it into what it is. There is zero intent. It's unfortunate for Basuma, and maybe a yellow card's fine, but a red card completely not. And hopefully that will be a positive from this whole travesty, that yellow card, that red card will get knocked down to a yellow. And then that's a starting point for us as fans, because next time you see one of those tackles where it gets freeze framed and put onto slow-mo, that could be, you know, this could be significant. You take the wins that you can. And if that red card gets knocked down to a yellow card, we're all winners. We're all winners, because you're not going to see players like Casemiro last year, like Gusto last week, and like Curtis Jones at the weekend. You're not going to see those sort of red cards anymore, which is a massive positive. So look, that could be a positive. What happens next? Well, look, I'm really hoping that Liverpool do something and take it as far as it can. But for me, it's embarrassing. It's absolutely embarrassing, and it's infuriating as well. And I think people need to keep it, front of house, because this weekend, I mean, look, was there a red card in the game between Chelsea and Fulham last night? Should that have been reviewed? I mean, that's endangering somebody when you go in like that, like you did on Thiago Silva. But we're always going to get errors. But fundamentally, I think that Liverpool need to stay strong on this, and everybody needs to stay behind them who is behind them, because it's an absolute joke that 3 days later they haven't released a bit of audio. A bit of audio. And there's even talk that it won't be released publicly, it will only go to Liverpool. This is our game. We pay for this game. It's the people's game. I think major reform needs to happen, and I hope it gets pushed. And I listed them out on the podcast, so give it a listen. But one of the key principles of the 4-step plan to saving VAR, if we're going to keep it, because they will, is, we need public accountability. Football fans are fair. Football fans are fair. It's been proved over the last few days. You've got Man United, Arsenal fans coming out in support of Liverpool on their statement. It's the same as the Super League again, isn't it? People coming together because they know it's about what's best for football and loving the game of football. There is an opportunity here that we get some public accountability, that we make some genuine changes. I think it's been well overdue for a long, long time that these referees, football fans are fair. If a referee comes out and explains their decisions, and, even if they admit they might have got it wrong, they're not perfect. Like a goalkeeper makes a mistake. A striker misses an open goal. Referees will make mistakes. But what makes it worse is the arrogance of how they come across when they are not accountable. Not accountable at all. And that needs to change. Let's see what's going to happen. But look, as things stand at the moment, it's a bloody joke with every passing minute that audio doesn't get released. Get your comments in below. Make sure you smash a like on the video and subscribe. I'll speak to you on the next one. Don't forget on your way out to check out the podcast. Lot more talk about this. And another thing in football that's getting on my nerves as well. I mean, I know we're all talking about VAR as well, but there's something in the podcast today that a little bit later on that you really should listen to, because that's the next thing that needs to change. Like we accept way too much in this country around our football and how it's delivered to us. And there needs to be a stand against these things. Thanks so much for watching. Take care.